Welcome to our webinar today on practical guidance to implementing a world-class CI function, CI implementation frameworks, and CI platform. This webinar is hosted by Commentelli, a highly regarded company with a rich history of over 2 decades of experience in market and competitive intelligence. Leading the session today is Jesper Martel, the CEO of Commentelli, and joining him today is Luis Madureira, Chief Intelligence Officer at Uber Brands, Integrated Researcher, and Board Advisor and Chairperson of SKIP. We are privileged to have their expertise and insight today. Without further ado, I will pass the control over to our presenters.
Thank you so much. This is Jesper Martel here, and I'm happy to be here with Luis Madureira as well. I'm very impressed by all your titles, Luis. You have done a lot of different things in the past, so we're glad to have you with us here.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone.
So today is actually, I think, what is it, the third session that we're doing in this series now?
Yes.
And we've been talking in the past, we did a couple of months ago, we've been talking about the definition of CI, what is CI. We've been talking a little bit about the maturity models, the 24 factors, the 5 Ps, etc., and the whole implementation framework. And I know that you will be maybe doing a quick recap of that today for those who haven't seen those 2 sessions, but I recommend those 2 previous webinars as a part of this series as well. And today we will be focusing a little bit more, going a little bit more into depth into sort of the practical use of CI, and focusing maybe a little bit more on the role of CI platforms within this framework as well. And as usual, we try to make these webinars more of a conversation than a presentation. So although you, Luis, you are the main presenter today, I will break in every now and then and try and ask you some tricky questions. We also encourage everyone that is online, all the participants, please do ask questions throughout the session, but we will be leaving some extra time at the end for questions and answers as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions, your questions during the presentation, but also from the audience, if it makes sense, of course, happy to answer all those questions.
Great. So let's dig into it.
Let's dive in. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, as I see it, the presentation, or actually this conversation, it's more conversation than a presentation. It's going to focus on these key takeaways. So basically, we'll discuss the implementation frameworks, how we can actually set up and develop the CI function to take it to world class. How the CI platform is a critical part of that, and to move to the world class, or the closer you move to the world class, I would say the more the CI platforms are critical to do this. It will also allow the audience to identify some of the gaps they have that are entering the program, and also how they actually can move forward and achieve the world class or the optimized model in the CI maturity model. I would like to start with a question, which is, how good do you think your intelligence today is? And this is actually a pun intended, because intelligence today is the name of the platform. But how good do you think your intelligence function is? And you can probably leave this into the Q&A or in the comment, is if you can actually do comments on the chat. I'm not sure if we have the chat connected. If not, you can actually put it on the Q&A. And the chat is connected, right?
It should be, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you can put it on the chat. So from 0 to 100, what would be the percentage? So how good do you think your intelligence is? And we can wait a few minutes. Now this is the time that I'll do a tricky question to to Jasper. Jasper, how good do you think your intelligence is at Comintelli?
Yeah,
this is a really tricky question. We didn't agree this stuff.
no, and I was probably one of the few who understood the pun without you having to write that in parentheses. No, I'm going to give you a very a biased answer, but of course, intelligence today is 100.
100, very good. David Kalinowski saying that the chat is disabled, but you can do it on the Q&A. So
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, David, for the heads up. Just tell me a percentage. Just give me a percentage. If we don't have, we'll continue. There's lots of people online, so there's no need. Joseph, 50%. Very good. I think it was on the 11, 7 of 10, but depends a lot on the purpose. Thank you, Anders. Nice to hear from you as well. We don't speak from since Nashville, so we need to catch up. Lots of stuff to catch up upon. Okay.
But I think that's a good point. I think it's hard to set a score because it does very much depend on the purpose, and different tools have different strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. So what is the purpose? That is exactly, that takes us to the implementation framework. So what is the purpose of intelligence? The purpose of intelligence is performance. So whatever is your purpose. So if it's market share, if it's I don't know, a profit, if it's brand, if it's expansion, if it's internationalization, whatever your objective, the performance means that, like, how good are you in actually kind of getting to that performance. In this sense, here is basically what we're talking about is the intelligence gap. So I'll disclose I'll disclose the answer, which is 56% is the gap. Okay, so
that's the right answer.
That's the right answer. Okay, so like I think it was Joseph, which was like almost like pretty much on the spot. So whatever the performance, how you measure the performance, even beyond how much you know about the customer, financial, reputation, brand reputation, risk. We were just talking about this when we started the webinar. Employees, your own personnel, the industry, research and development, whatever, like, there's always a gap, and the gap on average is 56%. And this, most important, didn't actually kind of decreased over the last decade. So this is a critical. So this means that we have a lot of room to improve. Okay, so let's see how can we actually kind of improve this. And this is part of one of the papers that I published recently in 2023, so last year. And on top of validating the CI definition and the concept as a whole, the construct of competitive intelligence, I can also provided the implementation frameworks. Okay, so very, very quickly, just to give context, what is the definition of CI? And again, although this is a paper of mine, this is the only definition that was done, integrated 820 definitions that existed. So this is not my definition, this is our definition. So the idea is to be as integrative as possible. And that definition is that CI is a process and a set of practices which are forward-looking. We only make decisions in the future. We cannot kind of change the decisions that we made in the past. And those processes and practices are used to produce knowledge about the competitive environment to, as I said, improve organizational performance, however you define performance. But the point is to improve the performance of the organization. To do this, there are 5 dimensions in that definition. You start with the process, so a set of activities, a set of processes that we do. Normally, you refer to these as intelligence cycle. As I'm going to show you, I don't use the intelligence cycle because there's a number of flaws identified with the intelligence cycle. It's also a set of practices, organizational practices. So if they are organizational practices, they need to be legal and they need to be ethical, or at least they should be ethical. You use those to produce knowledge, as I said, about the competitive environment and to improve the performance. Okay, so if you want to improve your performance, you need to have all these 5 dimensions in your mindset, and you need to be executing on those 5 dimensions. If you leave one dimension behind, that's not going to help you in actually achieving your objectives. Now, when we expand those 5 dimensions, you see the amount of things that you need to put in practice. So this is exactly the point of what we are discussing today. If you want to take your function, your CI function, your CI program, your CI capability to the world class, you need to address basically the bottom here of the chart. You need to address all these factors, which are a huge number of factors that you need to factor in to increase the performance of your organization. Now, and again, being very quick on this part, because we already discussed this in previous webinars, and then we go into the part that interesting us today, which is how can we also use the CI platforms to improve that. Okay, so you always need to start with the purpose in mind. Exactly as Anders said, if you depend on the purpose, okay, so you need to first define what is your competitive intelligence function purpose. Why are you doing competitive intelligence? Is to develop strategy? Is it to come up with new tactics? Is it to improve execution? Is it to develop a competitive advantage? Or is this to actually have early warning and be able to not be surprised if you want? Okay, so basically what you want to do, and I'm just going to change this to a pen, and basically you want to bring your organization towards overlapping the stakeholder needs. So you want what you are, your proposition, your offering, and your capabilities, they need to move into this direction where you maximize all this area here, which is the intersection between what you offer and what the stakeholders need. Okay, and if you do that, you'll be kind of having a great performance. But again, you need to define exactly what part of those stakeholder needs is that you are supporting. Secondly,
quick question,
sorry,
just
sorry.
on the purpose. Based on what you've seen in the organizations, what would you say is one of the most common purposes of CI?
Okay, so I can give you my own. So when I set up a CI function and took it to world-class level in Heineken, my brief was as simple as this simple sentence: I don't want any surprises. So it was basically about early warning. Now, early warning is very tricky, because for you to do early warning, you cannot see the future if you don't understand the past and if you don't understand the present. So this is a deceptively simple mandate, you know, because to do early warning, to look into the future, you really need to understand everything that's around you. You need to understand the competitive environment. You need to understand your competitors. You need to understand your suppliers, your customers, you know, pretty much your competitors, everything. So this is really challenging. From what I see other companies, what is actually their purpose, it really depends. I would say that, for example, even in the definitions, I don't see that many people talking about risk, although some people are basically kind of tackling risk. But I think that when they tackle risk, they talk more with the CFO and this kind of stuff. So they see risk as a more kind of a finance thing. I think that most companies are either on sales, and you know they are the competitor intelligence kind of thing, or just competitor intelligence, meaning I want to know what our competitors are doing, so we don't look silly in the market because they kind of they do a move before us or something like this. These I would say are the 3 kind of things. From all of them, I prefer mine because I think it's the most holistic, which is, you know, how can I actually be prepared for the future? How do I sustain my performance into the future? And this is basically the biggest challenge of all in recent times, is how do you increase the span of your organizations?
So early warning, avoiding risks, and competitor like benchmarking in sales. Basically.
Competitor. So what is now called sales enablement, you know, win-loss, this kind of stuff. Early warning, this is the most holistic, and then competitor intelligence. These I would say are the most common usages that I see and what people ask me. A fourth one, if I may, is expansion. So how do you internationalize your company? And that is what I call then market intelligence. So you need to know your market, but also when you go abroad, then that is much more a request because everyone thinks they know their own their own market. So they don't ask it as much, but when they go abroad, they realize that they don't know what's going on. So they ask for market intelligence. So these, I would say, are the four things.
Perfect. Thanks.
And there's questions. David is sharing his so he says enable growth, yes. Mitigate risks, yes. Support strategic long-term initiatives and support tactical needs. Sales, yeah, we pretty much aligned. That makes sense. So it's also a validation of what we just discussed.
And then they
Good.
were wondering if you're able to share out the slides after.
Yeah, I think we should be able to do that. Actually, this is all public. This is all in the paper here. So if you can actually kind of look for this DOI, you can go to my ResearchGate. So researchgate.net, if I'm not mistaken, you go to my profile, you have all my papers in there and you can have all of these. And I think that we are reporting this so we might able to also show, and in the video, you can also see the presentation.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
So second part is once you know exactly what you're looking for, then you need to define your scope. So if you are doing competitive intelligence, you should be covering the whole of the competitive environment. So you need to monitor these arrows here, which are basically the macro forces. So this basically gives you the macro external environment. And then you need to control the triangle, or you need to kind of address the triangle. The triangle is basically the market, okay? And finally, you have the industry here. So on that sense, you have the macro, you have the meso, which is the market, and then you have the micro, which is the industry. So micro is everything that is connected directly to you. Meso is an intermediate kind of a layer between the micro and the macro, which is the if you want, it's the country, the market, and the industry. Basically, this would be the easiest way to explain, and you can see it also here.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions here? No open questions. Okay. So let's just me refer one thing, which is really important. The competitive environment is not just about the external environment. It's also about the internal environment, which is our own organization, and also how do you compare with your competitors. And this is critical because most definitions mention the external, but sometimes they forget to mention the internal. So you need to also to have and to develop actionable insights, so the definition of intelligence, on your organization, on your own value chain. And only by doing this and comparing with your competitors, you can actually identify strengths and weaknesses, which is something that most people don't explain, and they don't actually kind of no, they just say, oh, I think we have a strength. You don't think. You need to have to be sure, and you need to compare your capabilities with those of your competitors. Only by doing this, you can say that you have a strength or a weakness. Okay. Any questions?
Crystal clear.
Okay, very good. So the third one is the practices. So once you know why you are developing intelligence and in which area you are developing the intelligence to support your performance, then you need to establish your practice. Okay, and this is plural, practices. Okay, so this is kind of all the things that you need to do to make sure that you have a CI function in place, and this materializes in what you do, so the practices. So you need to define where do you sit in the structure. You need to define how, so the policies, how do you develop intelligence? If they are legal, if they are ethical, which they should be, of course, but just to make the point, and so on and so forth. So how do you relate? How do you get the key intelligence topics, or how do you develop them, and so on and so forth? Which capabilities also you need to have? You need to be able to analyze, you need to be able to collect from primary, from secondary, and so on and so forth. Then, and these are I would say the hard part. So this is why this is a yin and a yang. If you didn't notice, this is like the symbol is the yin and the yang. So this is the hard facts and this is the soft facts. So mindset, what should be your mindset, and what should be the culture? Culture, how people behave, You know, if your company does decide, but they don't use intelligence, you know, what's the point of developing the intelligence? So you need to also develop the intelligence culture within your organization to make sure that people use your CI. And this is one of the biggest problems of CI that I've heard about, not just in recent times, but, you know, throughout my career in CI, which is now a quite long one. Okay. Also,
why do you think that is, that people don't use CI even though it's there and it's sometimes obvious? It's an interesting question, and as you say, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah. So give you an example. Why did Nokia, after 14 years of leadership, didn't hear their CI function?
Yeah.
In one word, ego.
Yeah. Ego.
In one word is I know best.
So you don't change.
One word. It's like it's three words. But you see, the point is you need to be humble, and you need to, you know, if someone is developing the intelligence for you, you should trust that person. So this is like our role as CI professionals. We should become the trusted advisors. But again, we need to also to make sure that people trust us. So, you know, this is part of the capabilities here. You need to be able to influence and to create trust and create a relationship with the decision makers. If you don't,
and that's hard. That's
very hard. That's the hands down organizational culture, and especially intelligence culture or competitive intelligence culture, is the most difficult factor to actually develop. And you know, you have several different ways to do this. Just, you know, just to make the point of the webinar, this is also where a CI platform can help a lot, because, you know, if you have one place where you have all the intelligence, it's much easier for them people to use it. And when they use it, they see the benefits. And if they see the benefits, they can actually relate to that. And then you create the intelligence culture. You see what I mean? And also, if you have a CI platform where all the intelligence is available, that creates an accountability issue. Because if you have the intelligence and if you made a wrong decision, you are accountable for that. Right? Yeah, so why didn't you use the intelligence? So this helps you to then develop the intelligence culture and to show what you know, if you had used the intelligence, you could have make a better decision. Okay. And you know, this is really powerful. Also, it creates a track record. So if you have a platform where you have all the intelligence deliverables stored, you, like when someone comes to say, oh, I didn't receive this alert, or I didn't know about this, you can actually go and say, no, this is here, this has been done in due time. Like the question was that people did not use it. Again, I don't want to sound like, you know, you should, how can I say, track or monitor what people are doing, nothing like this. But, you know, this is to show that you can actually kind of show the return on CI, the ROCI. You can show that, you know, I gave you this piece of intelligence, you use it, these were the results. I gave you this piece of intelligence, you didn't use it, and, you know, these are different results. So, you know, why don't we use the intelligence that we are doing? Okay. Great. Another important thing here in this slide is the time orientation. Okay. Again, CI is not just about the future, it's forward looking, but again, you need to understand the past, you need to understand the present in order to be able to foresee the future. And then you learn from that, you see what happens, what won't happen. And then of course that also fits again the hindsight, which gives you the insights, which gives you the foresight. Okay, fourth dimension, the process. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these because that would be a full webinar, but this is basically all the activities, all the intelligence, the activities that you need to do in order to produce knowledge, which then is kind of basically what you use into making decisions. And again, past, present, and future, already mentioned this. The final one is the product. So this is basically the outcome of the process, and which is like have a specific scope and a specific objective. Okay. Here, what I would like to highlight is that we went from the data, intelligence, knowledge, wisdom pyramid from back in the day from Aguilar, and we actually kind of say that the knowledge of the day or the wisdom of the day should be part of the data of tomorrow. So this is part also of the knowledge management process. And this is basically where knowledge management process enters or integrates the CI. So this is like a product intelligence life cycle. Yeah. So how do you, where you start with data and you end up with wisdom, but it doesn't really end with wisdom, because the wisdom of the day is the data of tomorrow. And let's go into the topic of today. So this is basically the introduction. This is basically how do you implement all of this. So what I've been showing you are the implementation frameworks. And as I already kind of give a hint, you start with the purpose, then you go into the scope or the purview, which is the same thing. Then you go into the CI core model, which is the practices, basically connects the practices and the process. And then you go into the outcomes. And the outcomes, of course, as we mentioned, what we really want is knowledge. So actionable insights that are so good here, actionable insights, which are so good that they will translate into knowledge. Okay, knowledge meaning the insights that you developed are actually good insights. So truth insights, and with that you are completely sure. What you are completely sure about, the insight. You know that it's true. What I really wanted to highlight here is that you cannot wait for knowledge. You need to act on the insights, because if the insight is you have a theory or you have an hypothesis, you have an insight that two of your competitors are going to merge, you cannot wait for them to merge to do something. So you need to do something before they merge. So when you receive the insight, you need to action those insights in order to be able to mitigate the threat, if it is a threat, of that strategic partnership. Does this make sense so far?
Yeah. I get it. I have just a quick question, because you have like 6 stages here, and then you have the 5 Ps. And would you say that is it important that all the 5 Ps are developed in line with each other, or can you go a bit further in one of them, or what are your thoughts on that, or does this have to be done all at the same time?
Yeah, so that is a really great question. So you need to progress from stage to stage in a kind of block. So you need, the ideal situation would be for you to move from something like this. So you are in product, you are here.
So more or less at the same level, and then you move that.
And this is easy to understand, right? So you cannot, for example, get into the highest level of performance here if for example you don't have the capabilities, right? Exactly. So if you don't have the capabilities you cannot get here. So this although this needs to be working block, you can move in some of them, you can move a little bit towards the optimal situation, but you get to a point where it's very, very hard to move. So you actually kind of you will be forced to move in a block. So this is actually one of the benefits of having and using this unified competitive intelligence maturity model. So you know exactly what are the things that you need to do to tick. You need to make sure that you are addressing all these topics and so on and so forth. So it allows you to move in a block into the next level. And sometimes you are saying, what is actually kind of hindering me? I don't know. So what you need to do is you come here and start thinking, okay, so what is my problem? Do I have the individual capabilities in place? Oh, this is the problem. I don't have the organizational capabilities in place, or I don't have the structure. I need one person more, or I need that platform because I need to have one place where I have all the information so people can actually consult it, because I cannot have more time to do more analysis if people are always asking all the time about information, and I'm still sending them information by email and search for the information, and that is not feasible. So you need to gain time in that sense. For example, CI platforms are really, really useful. And again, I didn't mention this before, but I set up a huge number of platforms, either for my own when I was in Heineken. In Heineken, I actually kind of set up a few. And then also for in the consulting business, I actually set up also for other for clients. So I know exactly what I'm talking about here. So this is not I'm not talking theoretically about this. I'm actually kind of saying that this is really the benefits that I felt when I was actually kind of using these platforms.
Great.
Any
Thanks.
questions? No, I see something appear here. No. Okay. So let's see how CI platforms can contribute to the development of the. And sorry, because this actually kind of I don't know why it went in the wrong place. So I'm actually kind of going to put this back on the slide. Sorry about this. Don't know what happened. And let's go into the contributions. Okay, so if you use exactly what I've been talking about, so the CI implementation frameworks, and you have here the 5 Ps, you have the 24 aspects here, so the things that you need to address, but you can remember those by the 5 Ps, which are much more easier to remember than all the 24, and then you can go into the specificities of each of the dimensions. Okay, so instead of like going through all of these, I'm just going where the competitive intelligence platforms start to perform their magic. Of course, like I'm kind of starting here, but if you have it here, it cannot hurt you, right? It can only help you to get into the second stage. But this is on the second stage. When you have your goals identified, this is when the platform gets really handy. Why? Because you have a platform where you can actually kind of put your specific goals. So everyone knows what are your goals. And if everyone knows what are your goals, they will not ask you things which are outside of your goals, or if they do, they know that it's not going to be ranked as a priority. And as so, you stop being a firefighter and trying to please everyone who asks you for intelligence, and where to focus, and the stakeholders also know where you are focused. So this again gives you more time to actually kind of to do your job as you should. Does it make sense, Jasper?
Yeah, I get it. Where would you say that because now you're in stage 2, where would you see that a CI platform has most effect? Does it have effect in all the stages, or are there some stages where it's more important?
I would say in all stages. The reason I put it here, because this is a critical contribution. So I don't want to, because if we go to speak about all the contributions, then this becomes very crowded. So for example, here, how does it help you with project briefings? Exactly the same way. So if you have a platform and you have a form in there where kind of the stakeholders can fill in the project brief, they can give you a brief much faster. And then because you have a form, they know exactly which information do you need, so they will give you the information. And if you don't receive that information, you will be able to say, look, you need to fill all that information, otherwise I cannot start working on this. So, is this a contribution? Of course it is. This is stage 1. But, I think that this one is really critical because, this is what is going also to help define the culture. Remember? So because people will know exactly what is that you are focusing on, and that will create a culture of collaboration and not just saying, okay, oh, I need some information, just ask the guys from CI. And, I was talking to a client yesterday, and in this case, it's a she was telling me exactly this. Like I'm overwhelmed. I cannot reply to all the demands. But you have a process in place. Yes, but it's a tacit process. If you have it on your platform, everything runs smoothly. And it's much easier for you to say, look, I need you guys to fill the form. I can help you fill the form, but we know exactly what is the information needed, and then it's clear for everyone. Okay.
So it sounds like it's almost like the CI platform in itself almost helps you define the purpose, and it's a part of that as well, to create the visibility and almost marketing the CI.
Yeah, so let me clarify a little bit. So the purpose, you define it here. So you need to have a vision for your CI function, right?
Yeah.
But then that vision is materialized in the platform, and that is the real contribution. Because and I've gone through that. I worked some years without the platform, and then I work up another set of years with platform. And that is completely different, because once you have the platform, it is there, but the vision is materialized in the platform, and everyone knows it. And they go into the platform, and this is something that you can have on your home screen, so everyone kind of is aware of what you're doing and what is your role. Okay, so it's much easier for you to stick to that role.
So the platform in itself almost helps you communicate CI, and I mean, have you in that sense seen? Can the platform be used almost to brand CI as well? Have you seen any?
Yeah. Yes. You know that there are several examples that I recall. There was, especially if you are a one-stop shop, one person, that is like, the platform embodies the CI function. And when it embodies and materializes the CI function, it's like the ChatGPT. Before, no one really understood. Everyone talked about machine learning and generative AI. But when you actually play with ChatGPT and you have a platform, a user interface, now I understand it. Now I can feel it, because it replies to me. You interact with CI. So the platform is the user interface between the stakeholder and the CI function. And it helps you to communicate. It helps you to develop intelligence. So, the holy grail of competitive intelligence is to have a collective competitive intelligence, meaning that it's not just you doing the intelligence activities, it's the rest of the company is also helping you to develop the intelligence. So you cannot be an expert in the full value chain. So you need help from others, and the platform, it's also helping you to do that. So for example, now what we're talking is organizational practices. Organizational competitive intelligence practices. And this is critical, again, this is where the intelligence culture actually kind of fits in. And I know that we are jumping from step by step, but this is impossible not to do, because everything is connected. Although these different dimensions, they are mutually exclusive, they have impact on each other. Okay, so if you know your goals, that will also help on the culture. Okay, so this is like something that you cannot avoid.
Yeah, no, I like that. That the platform is like the user interface between the stakeholders or the consumers of intelligence and the analysts, the producers of intelligence. I like that.
Very good. Okay, so let's go into stage 4. Okay, so all types of KPIs are defined. Again, you can use the platform to have it there, and people know exactly when you're going to address your key intelligence topic. So here we are in stage 3, but it's on stage 4 that you see again a really big contribution. Okay, so this is exactly the example that I mentioned before. Decision impact is measured because people, in this case, us, CI professionals, develop intelligence. And then you have other people, the stakeholders, which actually kind of use it or not. You have a track record. You have a visual, you have materialized the deliverable, and you have materialized the results. So you can actually measure this. So you have the intelligence piece in there, and you can actually kind of see how that later on, which outcomes, which results it produces, so you can actually kind of measure those. And even finally, you need to optimize performance. So to optimize performance, you need to measure it. But to measure it, you need a platform. Otherwise, how are you going to measure the performance? Because you need to have, again, the intelligence piece, what was done, and what was the result. But if you do that, you will show. Okay? You'll be able to show. You'll be able to show your performance. You'll be able to measure your performance. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Very good. Questions? Any?
Yeah, I'm just wondering how I mean, if you're starting out at a first stage here, what would you say are some of the most important features and functions to start out with to give you the most impact? You know, the low-hanging fruit. You've written reporting and newsletters here, I see, but is there anything that gives you the most impact from day one?
Okay, so that's a quite complicated question to answer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a maturity level framework, right? So it means that you start with this. It doesn't mean that this is the most important to start with, but you need to start somewhere. And if you start by doing real-time intelligence, I can tell you that you cannot do that. It's impossible. Yeah. So you need to go step by step. Again, this is where the platforms can help a lot. So how can you develop a report or a newsletter? With a platform is much easier because you have the templates in there. You have kind of your information feeds. You can put everything into one place, and then you can start doing that almost automatically. These days, with generative AI, you can actually kind of do much of that already in an automated fashion, or at least you can speed up the process a lot. Okay, so this is where you start. Now, if you ask me what is the low-hanging fruit, well, this is some of the low-hanging fruit. Okay, but again, a report, I know I don't even consider that real intelligence, because a report is like you are basically, it's like a copy paste. You are reporting facts. No, you are basically just focusing on the what. Yeah. When you go into actionable insights or intelligence, these are loose, these are, integrated and systematic. That's why it's called intelligence. So this is where the real value comes in. But for you to actually kind of develop intelligence, not just loose, because loose means that you don't, you just have, it's like random insights. What you need is sorry, this is always changing. You need to have your purview, for example, very well defined. So, for example, imagine that I'm in the value chain, I'm focusing on marketing, okay? And if I focusing on marketing here, then I can kind of focus on the intelligence. So this would be loose. It means that this day I'm doing sales, then I'm doing logistics, then I'm doing procurement, and this is not really the most important thing for the organization. Again, if you have your specific goals identified in the platform, then it's very hard for you not to do this in a structured way. So you see, this is how, once you have this, it's easy to go into the next step. And you see how, these are all independent things that you need to do, but they help you move in a parallel fashion, in a block fashion. Did I answer your question?
Yep, great. I see that time is ticking. This is the final slide. This is the main slide of today. I have a whole bunch of questions, actually. This is fascinating, I think. But also, I just wanted to encourage people in the audience, please do ask questions. We will have a little bit of more time. But please go ahead and do that.
We do have one question from Alfredo in Brazil. He says, many companies are increasingly hiring technology solutions for competitive intelligence work. What is your view on the role of technology and the analyst in this era of AI?
Okay, very good. So this is back to our webinar on the competitive augmented intelligence. So I'm kind of I might be even biased in my answer, but I think that technology in this moment in time is critical. And it's critical because of the information overload that we are the target, actually. So basically, like, we live in an information overload. And at this point in time, you have more information that you can process. So this is actually the definition of information overload. So you have more information than the one that you can process. So this means that without technology, it's almost impossible for you to cover your competitive environment. So again, we go to the purview, you see? So without technology, without, for example, a CI platform where you actually kind of put everything together and then where you already have artificial intelligence embed. I don't like really to use artificial intelligence because artificial intelligence is too broad, but where you have machine learning, where you have clustering, where you have classification algorithms, okay? This will help you classify, organize, process, structure your information. And then based on that, you can actually do your job of analysis. And technology at these days can actually even help you to analyze. And then on top of that, the analyst will actually build on top of the information insights that the technology allowed us to develop much quicker. And then you can make it your own, and you can customize it, and you can tweak it, and you can actually give it the nuances that only a human can do. Okay, so if I can kind of put that in a more simpler term, you need to feed the machine with the correct information. And when I say feed, it's not really feeding, but it's curating the information for that specific key intelligence topic or key intelligence question. You need to let the machine do its magic, and you need to understand what the machine is doing. So that needs to be explainable. Okay, so you need to understand what you're doing and how artificial intelligence, machine learning, convolutional networks, deep learning, whatever, algorithms, which ones do you use, and so on and so forth. And then on top of that, you need to kind of complement what the machine already did. But because the machine allowed you to process much more information, you now can either cover more key intelligence topics, or you can actually cover a bigger scope within the competitive environment. And I'm a really, really big defender that for you to have good insights, you need to cover the whole competitive environment. Or if you want, the more you cover the full extension of the competitive environment, the better quality your competitive intelligence will be. So this is critical. And again, this is where the competitive intelligence platform can come to the rescue, because if you work with all of these technologies in a separate way, if you don't use it in an integrative way, it's going to be very hard for the analyst. So the analyst will spend most of his time actually kind of integrating these different pieces of information from different sources, instead of actually kind of focusing on analyzing, which, by the way, is our strength. So the strength of machine is processing. Our strength is actually kind of analyzing and even creating kind of for example, if you're doing scenarios, there's always a creative part on it. So the machine is like, if you want, the science, and we are actually kind of putting the art and on top of the science. So for the scientists in the room, in the audience, the praxis is not just the practice. The praxis is actually the practice and the art. So it's the science and the art all together.
How this makes me a little bit curious. We were both at the Skip in Telecom conference a couple of weeks ago, and the main theme there was, of course, artificial intelligence, and a lot of the presentations were about AI. How curious to hear sort of what was maybe one of your key takeaways from all those sessions as regards AI.
Well, very, very good question as well. I would say that my main insight is that most companies are not really applying CI, or not. Sorry,
you mean AI,
not applying AI, not CI. CI they are doing, AI not really. Why? Because most companies, and this is also one of the results from the PricewaterhouseCoopers CEO survey this year, which is most of them are afraid of for security reasons. So they're afraid of data
they're
leaks.
not allowed to.
Exactly. So if you're not allowed to use the tools that actually kind of help you to address this information overload, the big data, and then your performance is going to be hindered. So I think this is one of the key insights. Actually, one of the key insights for me, was that CI platforms can actually kind of perform this role, because a CI platform can allow CI professionals to when I say play, I mean in the serious term, actually kind of address. They can use the artificial intelligence in a safe way. So in this sense, I would see that this is actually kind of the direction to follow in terms of kind of a CI platforms. This is what I expect, and this is actually kind of what we are already seeing. Only with these kind of technologies, to go back to the question from Alfredo Passos, is only with these technologies you can actually kind of get into this part here, which is like, real-time intelligence, because a human cannot read 700 articles and cannot summarize that. Well, they can, but over a long period of time, when they actually kind of end up processing all of that, they are already outdated. So you need to use the technology, and the technology, I see platforms as an interface and also an integrative process to actually develop intelligence. So without I think that there are lots of people who don't share this opinion and say, oh, platforms, we don't need platforms, this is all this is all our mind. Yes, it is, but you need technology to help you to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be completely impossible to address this amount of information, and also this amount of change. It's not just the information in itself. It's like the speed of change is so high that if you don't have these tools that allow you to address that, that is impossible. So just I'm not sure are you familiar with this, Jasper, the TAR model?
No.
From Dr. John Prescott. So the TAR model tells you that for you to have the quality of intelligence is measured by TAR. So it must be timely, and this is why I actually kind of remember of this. If it's not, if you don't do it in due time, so that there's no point, there's not intelligence, it's going to be outdated. It needs to be accurate. So machines are also very accurate, but then you need to verify that. It needs to be actionable, so you need to be able to do to make a decision or to develop a strategy, and then they need to be relevant. Okay, so this is really where the man comes in, because we are the judges of the relevance of the intelligence towards the topic. But to be timely, especially as we go along, to be timely and accurate, you really need the machine. And you see, you have 3 letters, but you have four words, and 2 are addressed by technology, or if you want machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so on. And the other two letters are actually kind of addressed by humans.
Good. I want to open the floor up a bit for questions from the audience, if there are any. We have a few more minutes left. I have one more question. In all these stages, we kind of, it sounds like we kind of assume that you have the same CI platform throughout this entire journey. But that might there might be a risk in that. Might there be a risk that maybe you start off with a platform that is too limiting, or maybe even too advanced for your purpose? And how do you see that maybe during this journey you actually change platforms to suit your purposes?
So let me go by steps. At the beginning, you would not need the full spec platform. Okay, so you
with
need
full AI and everything.
Exactly. So you could start with a platform that basically is a knowledge management platform. Okay, and as you go along, you start adding on, special features to allow you to move to the next stage. This is ideally, this is how you do it. Why? Because if you start with a platform that is full of bells and whistles, you got lost. Basically, that's it. It's going to be very hard to parameterize all the
and maybe very expensive as well, and overkill.
Exactly. So I started with no platform, and I got to a point where I got to my boss and said, look, if you want me to kind of develop more and better, I need a platform because I cannot go further with the Microsoft Office. Yeah, it's impossible. I cannot do better than this. It's like, yeah, I'm getting to the threshold. And then he understood the point and said, okay, now you can, like, here's the budget. You go and kind of get up your platform, but I'm going to be more demanding. And then, you need to deliver on top of that. So this is at the beginning. So, and then you need a platform, and that is basically knowledge management. But then, if with the platform, with the knowledge management, it comes, AI, even if a generative AI, just to do summaries, for example, that is going to save you a lot of time from the beginning. And then, but you are not doing competitive augmented intelligence. You're just basically doing, you're using technology to summarize. So you're not, it's just like, you are not even providing competitive intelligence. You are on the point where you are basically providing curated information or summarized information or integrated information, something like this. But then, as you go along, then you kind of go into the extra add-ons and the extra features. Now, my advice, and this is my own advice, this is from my own experience, I would prefer just to use one platform from the beginning, because the learning curve that you need to go through in learning new platforms, new tools, is like, it's going to take you a lot of time, and it's going to deviate your focus from what you should be doing. So the ideal situation is you start with a modular kind of a platform, the platform that allows you to do the basic knowledge management very simply with a few clicks, but also allows you to buy add-ons or extra features that you then can, leverage as you go along, and as you need them, you can actually buy them. And that will save you money on the beginning, because you also need to prove your worth towards your stakeholders, your boss, your budget, your whatever kind of how do you manage, how you are evaluated and how you manage your budget. So sorry, go.
I have one quick question from the audience. How can CI platforms help us build probable future scenarios?
Okay, so probably future scenarios is
we have just we have 4 more minutes, so just to be aware of that.
Okay, just not for me to talk a lot. Okay, thank you. No, it's really simple. So probably plausible scenarios. Basically, we're talking about scenario planning. Yeah, we're talking about foresight. How can that help you? If you don't have the hindsight, so understanding the past, if you don't have the information about the present, you cannot extrapolate good futures. It's impossible. Yeah. So you have a cone of probability of possibilities. So let me just kind of this is where we are now. This is where we come from. And now you have a cone. For you to design this cone and to see what is the worst case scenario and what is the best case scenario, for example, okay, you need to understand exactly where you're coming from, because if you don't know where you are, you cannot even start designing, because you don't know where you are. So you don't know where this bubble is. So you cannot kind of see the cone. So it's like the platform helps you, because allows you to have all this information into one place, and then even almost I would not say automatically, but it's much, much easier to then kind of understand what could be the plausible future scenarios by having an understanding of how did you get here. So I think I answered that into 1 minute.
That's perfect. Just to be mindful.
And I hope I answered this. If I didn't, I can go into a little bit more detail.
Exactly. Anything else to add, Jesper, before we wrap up?
I have one final question, very short, maximum 3 sentences. What's your best argument to get budget for a CI platform?
Use the CI maturity model. So do an analysis, see, where am I? Am I here, 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 and here? Okay, so this is my line, right? So, and you go to your boss and say, look, if you want me to go from here to here, because this is what we need, then I need a platform. And the platform is going to help me by doing this, and this. And you show them. So this would be my argument, to go to move further, to give you better intelligence. I needed the platform because of this, and this. And the best way to show you is this stuff here. Is like, you just do an audit to where you are and you show them where you could
Where you
actually
could
get
go if you had a platform.
exactly, and then you show them the cost, and you know that is a conversation that every CEO in the world will be able to understand, and they will give you the money if they will see the benefit. And if you see that there is no benefit, then you know you should not ask for it.
Hard. Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Thanks for that. That's a perfect final remark. And do we
Perfect.
have any more questions?
No,
Dorian?
it looks like we're good. Looks like we're right at the hour as well. So I will say a huge thank you to Luis and Jesper for this insightful presentation. Thanks to all of our participants for being with us today all the way to the end. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to contact us using the email address displayed on the screen. We look forward to the opportunity to connect with you again soon, and have a great day.